Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back, it's Jordan here. Today, we're gonna be changing up the monkey exhibit in the zoo. I recently built a dome of ladders. I think it's cool, but I think we can build something even better. That's the beauty of Lego, right? Build, destroy, repeat, reinvent the wheel all the time, try and come up with a better design. I think that thing looks pretty sweet, but we're gonna make something even better. I think the monkey dome is a really cool concept. It gets us away from that square shape. And I think the ladders are really neat because minifigures would be able to look through there and see the monkeys. But for us as humans, not as small as minifigures, it's a little hard to see all the details and the monkeys within. I wanted to create something round. I thought it was pretty neat using the droid arms, mounting those ladders at that angle all the way around, and then having them all connect at the top to the different connector elements using droid arms. I thought it was pretty cool, but I just don't think it looks that neat and tidy, and it's not really that presentable from afar. So I'm gonna come up with a new design here, and I'm thinking we're gonna integrate some sort of glass windows into it using the 1x6x5 glass panels, similar to what I used over here in the Arctic area, but in trans clear. And I also used a bunch of them in the bird aviary as well. But I've got to be a little bit careful because I don't want to just build a bunch of glass boxes. I've got to make sure that they're sort of unique. They have interesting shapes. That's why I wanted to create a circular dome. So I've got to take the design concepts from that and from this and sort of merge them together. But with that said, I think one of my primary focuses has to be erased from the design. I think the circular shape is causing this thing to look a little bit messy because some of these are only 2 ladders tall. Because it's like a dome, they start to overlap and it just starts to look a little bit messy. So I think we've got to get away from the circular shape and move into some sort of square or rectangle. Uh-oh, I'm building a glass box, everybody. Oh no, and don't worry, I plan on changing it with the roof. It's no longer gonna be a glass box. It's gonna be unique, don't worry. We've got the 1x6x5 glass panels. We've done them 2 tall. So I've got 4 there, and then the wooden beam in the center. And on this side, we've got 6 more of those glass panels separated by the wooden beam. There's 2 layers of bricks around the base, and those are the regular tan color. And then there's some brackets that were added to the top of it. We only had those in black, so that I think works out quite nicely, and filled in the rest with black studs as well. So when you look down at the glass, you see black studs rather than tan, and I think that sort of cleans it up. And the reason we added that is just because it adds a nice texture, and it also just gives it like a railing, so people can almost lean on that as they look at the monkeys. This height, I think, is perfect. If you take a minifigure, even a short minifigure, they can look into the enclosure, so that works out quite nicely. And then the brown beams, they go all the way up, and then it's cased off in reddish brown. I think this is gonna work. It looks pretty neat and tidy. I think it's going to fit here. I might have to modify some of the surrounding area, and maybe my full water design might have to change, but that's okay. I was planning on putting a wooden boardwalk here anyway. So I think this is off to a good start. Just got to figure out how to treat the top and put a roof on it, and I'm thinking ladder elements. Today's video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. Sponsorships like this allow us to continue to have fun with Lego while keeping our personal information safe. Surfshark is an app and browser extension that protects your personal information, secures your devices from viruses and malware, and also protects your emails, passwords, banking information, all the important stuff. Another feature is Surfshark Alert. It notifies you if your ID, credit card, email, or any personal data gets leaked online. Surfshark is fantastic for families because you can have it on unlimited devices, so you can keep the whole family safe and all their devices safe. You never know where those kids are going to go, right? Well, at least mine are only 2. I know exactly where they are at all times. And also there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's literally no risk to try it. Secure your privacy today with Surfshark and enter coupon code Bricksie for 4 months extra at surfshark.com/Bricksie. I've put that link down in the description below, or you can simply check out surfshark.com to find out all the details and support them. Support us and surf the web safely from anywhere. That is the key. All right, let's get back to the Lego. The neat thing about ladder elements is they can articulate. So we'd be able to create some sort of domed roof using the ladder elements and various connectors. I think that might be pretty cool. A little further along in the process here, we decided to go with the reddish brown ladders on top, just sort of curved like that. Pretty cool. Still working on how we're going to frame those on either side because we've got approximately 4 studs. These are 3 studs wide. We didn't really want to mess around with the math of the windows. We like the size of it. Don't really want to make it much bigger to accommodate like another series of ladders. So just playing around with the tan masonry bricks there, some vegetation, maybe having like a black lip on it might be cool, changing the 2x plate underneath to 3x plate. Maybe this looks a little bit bulky. Maybe we need to add some more like texture and dimension to it using some more brackets and tiles, maybe change up the color of the top reddish brown brick. It's just all sort of part of the building process here. Trying to build something cool. I think we're off to a pretty good start here. I think this is significantly better, well maybe not better, but significantly different than the large dome. I actually decided to remove one of the layers of tan masonry brick from the bottom and I replaced it with 2 layers of plate because I discovered that after adding these brackets and the tiles, it was becoming a little bit too tall. So once I fully tile off the zoo and place this, well then minifigures will still be able to see in there. That includes wizards and hobbits, they can still see them. So that's good. And for the most part, monkeys are going to be up in the trees and on their little jungle gyms, so it'll be fine. Minifigures just look up. Monkeys aren't going to spend very much time on the ground, mostly in the air. And this is what I've come up with here for the top. Big shout out to Mrs. Bricksie, that's my wife, she helped me out. She's gone for the day, but I'm continuing to work here. We added the brackets along the top of the windows, just provided a little bit more texture. We just thought that that was getting a little bit flat there. Weren't a huge fan of those slopes on that masonry wall, so we actually added another row of the ladders, and then what we did is we positioned them so we actually have a half stud of clearance on this side and a half stud of clearance on that side, and we replaced that reddish brown brick on the top there with the tan masonry. I think that looks a lot better. This side had a little exposed stud problem, so we just covered that up with some of the ingots. Decided not to carry over the black just because, I don't know, it just doesn't really look that good having that harsh black line. I mean, ideally we would like to have different colored connectors on either side, but black is all we have in that sort of quantity. And you can see this side, we decided to use the upright clips and the bars, and then the ladder elements clip onto the bars and go across, and then on this side, it's just the upright clips that are raised up one plate and it clips to the other side of the ladder. And they all have this like perfect little dome to them. So they're all sort of at the same shape or positioned in the same way. So we get this nice dome. And then we put the vegetation in front. And the way we did that is we actually used snot bricks. We put 6 snot bricks in there and just clipped the vegetation in. And then we also used some of the modified plates with the clip and put the vegetation clip to the top and the bottom. So this is all nicely affixed here. The monkeys aren't going to be able to jump through that. It's almost just like some fake vegetation that the zoo put there to make it look a little bit more natural and fill in the side rather than making like a stone wall. And then I found these old monkeys, which I didn't include in the enclosure to begin with because they look sort of different. And I decided to just position them on the vegetation just like that. It's just like a little zoo decoration. I do have a printed sign, which was custom. It's somewhere, I just can't find it. So when I actually get around to developing the zoo, I'll find that sign and I'll place it back. But I think this looks a lot better than the existing dome, which I still have intact. I really like the shape of this one. I think it's really neat, but I just sort of think it looks a little bit messy and it was a little bit hard to see inside. So replacing a lot of those ladders with the glass panels was definitely a good call. But we also kept that same ladder design on the roof. So it's sort of the best of both designs. I know this one's not circular, but at least it has a domed roof. And I think it's gonna look mighty fine in the zoo. I can see it and I can smell it. Way over there. My coffee's brewing. That's good. So I'm starting to work on the actual placement of it now. And I want to create this boardwalk that I've been talking about because I think that would be super neat. I started building it in reddish brown, and then I realized I need this reddish brown for my gravel road. I would hate to use all my reddish brown for my gravel road. So I'm digging into the nougat bins, and I think I'm going to use nougat. But this boardwalk is going to be something like that. eventually this entire zoo is going to be fully tiled off, and the different areas will sort of be like color coded. They'll be like Arctic, monkeys, Africa, all that different type of stuff. I put a little support in here using some of the arches, some 2x16 plates, a little center support there, and then I alternated 2x4 tiles and also 2x2 jumpers, and that's going to support my bridge. I just made a rough draft of the Nougat Bridge so far. It'll be fully tiled off. There'll also be a lot of studs on there too, so we can pose minifigures. I decided to make it 12 studs wide. That is a very wide boardwalk, but I'm thinking if I put 2 or 3 minifigures side by side and we've got traffic flowing in 2 different directions, it needs to be pretty wide, and we can create stories on there. And we got to remember there's no pathways other than this in this area, because this is actually going to be all animal enclosures. So rather than having multiple pathways and big pathways, I decided why not just build a 12 stud boardwalk, which eventually will be tiled and studded, and you can see the supports on the back. There's actually 2 studs open in the center, which will line up with those jumpers that I put on that support and just sort of push down like that there. And then I put some ramps up to it, so there'll be ramps down there, and eventually this will all be boarded off, or what do you want to call it? Guardrailed off. There we go. There's the word I was looking for. And eventually there's going to be enclosures here for all of these animals as well, so the bears don't go rah and attack the people trying to check them out. But I want to get this pathway constructed first before I start working on these enclosures, and then I also need to come in here and start detailing all of this water. But all I did was just fill in a few of the studs there, change up some of the plate work, remove some of the water from the monkey enclosure because that water used to be like a U shape and go right around it. So I actually got rid of 4 studs of water, changed up the mills work, and then I laid down some of my 1x4 modified plates with the 2 jumpers or the 2 studs, and those are going to be the studs that actually hold the new monkey enclosure in place. It's still drafty, everybody. Very, very drafty in here. We're nowhere near completion yet, believe me. It's just getting there. But I'm happy with this new monkey enclosure. I think it's 10 times better than the existing one. I did like the circular shape. The dome was pretty cool, but look at that. I think that's spectacular. I'm pretty excited about it, that's for sure. Just for visual purposes, I figured I may as well place the new monkey enclosure in the zoo. It's pretty tall. It looks pretty sweet there beside the aviary. Definitely a lot different. It's not a glass box. That roof makes all the difference in the world. I love the vegetation on the side, or on the front and back of it as well. I think that's fantastic. I think that boardwalk is really gonna pop. Just gonna have to make sure that I don't make it too reddish brown, because there's a lot of reddish brown going down in the zoo right now. So I just gotta make sure that I don't get too carried away with the reddish brown. For example, I don't plan on fully tiling this off in reddish brown because we already have a lot of reddish brown in this area. I do plan on adding some arches here so we can get some vegetation creeping over on this side, and also around the entire fence perimeter, both on the outside, inside, and on top like I used to have it. In the existing zoo, I had palm leaves going around the entire thing. I don't think it's going to be palm leaves, but rather I'll try to group the vegetation based on what animal is in that area so it actually makes sense with the enclosure. And maybe the Arctic area, well, not maybe, for sure, it's going to have like some caves and stuff like that for the animals, and it's going to be like dark bluish gray with a lot of like snowy ice feel. And I can build it up along the back of here too, so it's not a brown fence for the back of the polar bears. So I can really start to theme this place so that it actually feels like each animal and each enclosure is treated differently with different colors and stuff like that, right? But I really do like that. I think it looks great. It definitely looks a lot different than that enclosure. I love the roof of it. Maybe what I need to do is pitch this roof. Wouldn't be too hard, just slowly build it up toward the back and put that at a nice pitch. Wouldn't be hard to do at all, actually. Just literally use some slopes here and then build it up in the inside with like a slow gradient of plate and tile, and then have like a catch for it on the back and have that tipped up. Maybe like that. That would be super cool. So I'll probably do that for the aviary just to get away from this box feel. Even though it's rectangular, if I angle the roof or curve the roof, it sort of makes it feel not like a square. So yeah, that's definitely a good idea and definitely something I'll run with. I hope you enjoyed this update. I know I sure did. That was pretty awesome. I'm on the run to have fun elsewhere because I've got to go play some pool with Tim. Stings Bricks, we're actually in a pool league together. I got to make sure I show up relatively early. There's my alarm going off because I need to leave. It's like, hey, you got to get out of here. Got to show up relatively early so I can get some practice in, because let me tell you, the Sharks over there are going to be a lot better than me. So I've got to try and step up my game in that front, but it's all for fun. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed the update. Please remember to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for some more great stuff coming out in the near future. I cannot wait to continue building that zoo. Farewell.